Hi boys and girls, today we're going to be completing lesson 79. When you're done, I'm going to go ahead and ask you to send me a picture of your assignment. Now let's go ahead and begin with part 1. Let's see if you remember a meaning for each of those affixes. Touch the letters L-E-S-S. What's one meaning of less? Without. Touch the letters N-E-S-S. What's one meaning of ness? The state of being something. Touch the letters D-I-S. What's one meaning of dis? Not, the opposite of, or away from. Touch the letters L-Y. What's one meaning of lee? How something happened. Touch the letters R-E. What's one meaning of re? Again. Touch the letters U-N. What's one meaning of un? Not. Let's go ahead and continue with part number 2. Now right here, first word, what's the underlying part? J. What word? Managed. Next word, what's the underlying part? Lee. What word? Directly. Next word, what's the underlying part? S. What word? Physicist. Next word, what's the underlying part? What word? Past. Next word, what's the underlying part? What word? Experience. Next word, what's the underlying part? Re. What word? Revising. Next word, what's the underlying part? Dis. What word? Disbelief. Next word, what's the underlying part? E. What word? Weakness. Let's go ahead and look at part 3. We're going to talk about what those words mean. Word number 1 is reaction. A response to something can be called a reaction to it. Word number 2, what word? Presentation. A speech can be called a presentation. Number 3, what word? Duplicated. When you have duplicated something, you have made a copy of it that is just exactly like it. Number 4, what word? Coincidence. A coincidence is something that happens by chance. Next word, what word? Nagged. Nag means scolded or annoyed. Word number 6, what word? Bombardment. A shower of particles is a bombardment of particles. Let's go ahead and look at part number 4. Now, first word, permission. Next word, what word? Experimental. Next word, what word? Occasionally. Next word, what word? Delivered. Next word, what word? Chicago. Next word, what word? Slumped. Next word, what word? Computer. Next word, what word? Memorized. Next word, what word? Procedures. Next word, what word? Awakened. Next word, what word? Stretched. Next word, what word? Pizza. Next word, what word? Scheduled. Next word, what word? Wearing. Next word, what word? Laboratory. Next word, what word? Various. Next word, what word? Data. Next word, what word? Amazement. Let's go ahead and look at part 5. Follow along as I will be answering questions. Millie prepares her paper. Millie Jacobson returned to State University still wearing the dusty jeans and other clothes she had worn in the mountains. She had gone directly to the airport from Mr. Hicks' home and had managed to get on a late night flight. The plane landed at 4 in the morning and Millie went directly to her laboratory in the physics building. She noticed on her way into the building that the piles had been removed from the lawn. She turned on the desk lamp in her lab, sat down, stacked her records on one side of the desk, turned on her computer and typed the title of the paper, The Reaction of Gold to Laser Bombardment. She paused for a moment before beginning to type the paper. She thought about how the other physicists would react when she presented her paper at the International Convention of Physicists. That was Millie's plan, but she had to work fast for the convention in Chicago was only 3 weeks away. Listen to question number 1. How did Millie get back to her university? Millie got back to her university by catching a night flight. Now, what did she do as soon as she got back? As soon as Millie got back, she went to her lab and started working on her paper. Now, where did Millie want to present her paper? Millie wanted to present her paper in Chicago at the International Convention of Physicists. How soon was the convention scheduled? The convention was scheduled 3 weeks away. Millie had to complete the paper and then get permission to present it. The program for the convention had already been set for months. Millie would have to talk somebody into letting her make her presentation at one of the sessions, but first she had to complete the paper. She typed for about 2 hours. Occasionally she referred to her notes, but she had memorized most of the data. The first part of her paper described the experimental procedures. She told how she tested the various metals and how they reacted to the short laser blasts. Before Millie could begin the second part of her paper, Millie was to tell about her field experience with the laser gear. She fell asleep in the lab, sitting at her computer. Waking up in the middle of the morning, she noticed that several people were working in the lab. She greeted them, slumped over her computer, and went to sleep again. Around noon, Fred Frankel awakened her by gently shaking her shoulder. "Come on, Millie, if you want to sleep, you should go home and go to bed." "I don't want to sleep," Millie said. "I want to ride, but I'm so tired." She stretched and yawned, stood up and stretched again. "I'm awake now. I'll just have a cup of coffee and I'll be fine." Millie typed all afternoon. She called a pizza place and had a small pizza delivered to the lab. Eating and typing at the same time, she completed the first draft of the paper before she finished the pizza. Then she began revising the paper. She crossed out sentences, she rewrote parts, she read the paper over carefully, and just to be sure, she reread it once more. At 9 at night, the paper was completed. By 9 the next morning, the paper had been retyped and duplicated by a typist that Millie hired. Millie had offered the typist $300 if he typed the paper before noon of the following day. Listen to question number 2. At what time did Millie complete the paper? Millie completed the paper at 9 o'clock. At what time was the paper typed and duplicated? The paper was typed and duplicated by 9 o'clock the next morning. Now, how much did Millie pay the typist to type the paper that soon? Millie paid the typist $300. Let's go ahead and continue. Next, Millie called the program chairperson for the International Convention of Physicists and explained that she had a very important paper to present. "That's a nice coincidence," the chairperson said. "We find that one of our scheduled presenters can't be with us for the convention. His wife is going to have a baby and he wants to stay home." "That's great," Millie said. Now Millie waited. She was dying to tell somebody about her discovery, but she wanted to surprise everybody when she presented her paper at the convention. She realized that she was sort of a show-off, but she also realized that she had made an important discovery and that she deserved the chance to show off. Listen to question number 3. Why was it a nice coincidence that Millie wanted to present a paper? It was a nice coincidence that Millie wanted to present the paper because another scheduled presenter had canceled. Why did Millie call herself a show-off? Millie called herself a show-off because she couldn't wait to surprise everyone at the convention. There were several times during the next 3 weeks that she almost told Fred about her experiments. For 3 days after she returned, he nagged her, trying to find out what she did in California. Each time Millie responded, I was doing a field study, but each time she wanted to tell him. She wanted to see his eyes become large with amazement and his mouth fall open with disbelief, but she made herself keep the secret. To keep it was getting more difficult each day. Now, what did Millie tell Fred each time he nagged her about her trip to California? So Millie told Fred that she was doing a field study in California every time he would ask what she had done in California. So when you are done watching my video, please go ahead and complete your workbook. I will go ahead and send it to you in the chat box. Make sure you send me a picture by today. Have a great day, boys and girls.